Welcome back to another episode of the Guile Treatment. Nat's special. Today we have some extra guests with us. Go ahead and introduce yourselves. Let's start with Dave and go around, I guess, however. I know it's counterclockwise my way, so looking at my...
I don't know what order we're in on your screen.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So just go ahead, Dave, Tim, and then Kevin. Just go ahead and introduce you guys yourself one after another, please.
So I'm Dave Wagner. I'm from the Atlanta Playgroup. And I've been playing UFS for a long time. I've got some wins under my belt here and there. I had a character card just rotate. A bunch of team assets just rotate. Which makes me very sad because now Evil's good. And I never got to play it on my character, but we'll go into that later. Nationals is pretty much in my backyard. So figured we could provide some insight. There you go.
All those hot Atlanta aggro decks. We're going to get some of that inside tippery.
That's all we play, clearly. The only style we're capable of.
Tim, go ahead.
I'm Tim Keefe. I've been hunted here a few times. I'm stranded out in Connecticut, but I get on enough airplanes to go and play in some events. I've played in 2 majors in this format, or mid-majors with Tampa PTC and UK Net, so I have a little more experience in this format than, at least in tournaments, than people have sort of just been playing locally.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and Nets is in 5 days.
Yeah.
5 days.
That's nuts.
Jesus Christ. I haven't even built the deck I'm going to play in singles. I'm actually certain that I've not built. Anyway, I'm Kevin Broberg. Hi. I've been playing UFS for a while. I built a lot of decks that are kind of different than other people's decks. This format's been really fun to explore, and also really not fun because losing to Liu King sucks. And losing to it's just like realizing what Quan Chi does was like really depressing. It's like, holy crap! I played that match like 3 weeks later, and I was so happy that I didn't get to finals in the UK Nats because I would have been completely crushed and
miserable.
It would have been horrible.
Oh yeah.
Which I guess is a good segue actually. We want to start with the change to the format.
Yeah, do that.
On the last minute before the tournament. We even had fellow content producer on the Orange Card Blue Card podcast saying, well, it's too late. They can't ban Quan Chi this close to Nationals. Mm-hmm. The day? Was it the day? I think it was 2 days before.
Yeah. It was Tuesday when we were recording the last episode of the Guile Treatment, and we had talked beforehand in the pre-show saying, they're not going to do anything at all. Like, never. They won't. There's no way they're going to ban a guy less than 2 weeks out, and Tim was pestering Shane about it beforehand and waiting for him to get back to see if we get anything. And then, right in the middle of the show, I see a message on Discord, and Church goes, "Holy shit, they did it!" And then I checked Facebook, and it was on there. He was axed, hung. It was great.
There you go.
It was like a relief in a way. Since I'm playing,
since we had been talking about Quan Chi earlier in the day in Discord, and Tim was talking about how Dimitri wasn't really like the EL end all. Like, you didn't have to play it.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be a staple. Like, it's not necessarily a strong enough character to play in every Quan Chi deck.
Yeah.
And I followed up with him a little bit, and I kind of some things clicked in my head of basically that I could take my Vega deck that I love so much, slap Quan Chi in front of it, play some evil simple characters, and have a completely respectable deck.
Yeah.
And I was really excited. So I went over to Sean's house where all my cards live, and I was building a Quan Chi deck that night. And as I finished unsleeving the deck that I already had built, and I have this big pile of all this crap, I picked out all the proxy platinum characters. So I don't actually have play sets of those. He tells me, yeah, they just banned Quan Chi.
That's awesome. That's pretty good. Yeah, we had so for Atlanta locals, since MK hit, Quan Chi won every single Atlanta local except for the most recent one, which was won by Liu Kang, which is pretty nuts. I think we probably had 4 or 5 locals plus the one that we had last weekend, and every single event with a variety of different builds. Quan just was dominant. So yeah, no one in Atlanta is really shedding a tear about that. we're having to kind of scramble because we had 2 players who were going to play him in singles and teams. So we got to find them new decks. But grand scheme of things, it's nothing but positive, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, it was definitely I know up here in Rockford, we were just getting stomped by this evil build that wasn't highly tuned. It was he ran Goro that to mill stuff and get extra damage on throws, and he just looped Skull and all that crap and Napalm Man, and it was just a pain in the ass. So I'm just glad it's gone, and now they're all salty at me for playing Liu Kang. So whatever. So
Yeah, we had the most fun build that we had here in Atlanta was being run by a guy named Thomas Raw, and he would basically make Dragon Flare Desperation 0 after chopping himself down, and then just hit you for like 15. So the deck was really cool, but that character was just broken.
The character's
when you can stun on people with nonsense like that's kind of a signal that your tools are a little too good.
Maybe a bit. Yeah.
I do like in the Joffice they talked about how his main thing was Shane as he was bending a copy of Quan Chi thoroughly
mutilating that card.
He said that he abused once per turn effects, and I think that was the R was insane to begin with, but like that effect to be able to use a once per turn effect 2 to 3, 4 times a turn it's game breaking, and that maybe like in a smaller window where not as many characters existed with once per turn abilities or whatever that aren't as good, but because then at the time they tend to test for turbo, and so those platinum characters aren't in the turbo format. So in a way, like when they to make their support work, that's how they test, is to make sure their support works with them. So obviously they're not going to be able to hit everything in standard, or we're never going to get a set. So so eventually. But any other thoughts, Tim, on or Dave, on Quan Chi before we move on to the actual singles part, the happy part?
Sure. I'll just throw one very brief thing in. I don't think the abusing the once per turn character abilities was really the biggest problem with him. I think it was the R.
Okay.
The fact that backswinging that guy was just an exercise in frustration, or just mounting an offense against him in general was just he's effectively like a 35 plus life character, because anything that he doesn't block is probably minus 4 to 5 damage off of what it could have been at minimum. Because you want to enhance on your attacks, unless you're throwing flash at him. He was just a nightmare to try and kill. And were there decks that could do it? Sure, but those were few and far between. And even then, it was an uphill battle no matter what you threw into that guy, more or less. There's weird little corner cases here and there, but how well do those corner cases play into Liu Kang and then the rest of the field? So it was just a nightmare.
I would not hate it if the eventual MRP of this is the E and just the R's not on it, or the R only has the damage portion, the damage boost portion. And so you've still got this wacky character that you can do all these gimmicks with, but you're not also in S tier 7 hand size that would be nuts without the E.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's sort of like we took Spike 1 and then made his DR unlimited. What?
Yeah, my take on what makes Quan Chi too good is it's definitely not simply that he can abuse once per turns. Getting to Devora 4 times, that's completely insane, to be honest. That's plus 15 to my control checks and gain my entire life total back. It's 3 or 4 different things that are all individually kind of too good, and he gets them all at once. So I think it's not surprising that any given tournament is won by Quan Chi, because he's just got such powerful tools.
Yeah, his toolbox was insane.
I also think a lot, we talked about it, me and Rob talked about it, where he almost limits design space going forward on characters. And then if you, in a way, it depends on abilities and stuff. I know.
Clearly, yes.
Yeah. And then, why would I play any other character than Quan Chi? Because when Quan Chi can play that character and get other characters' abilities at the same time, it's kind of like the whole Dimitri factor back when Dimitri won.
If you play somebody with a good R,
definitely. But it's more on the enhances.
Yeah, I mean, like, to tackle that head on, though, like, there's still a world where you play Spike 2 if Quan Chi is legal, because you want to use that ability 12 times per game instead of 4.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have to mill yourself on the way to doing that.
I don't think that exists in a world with hand cannon.
Yes, absolutely not. there's other things
that later.
Yeah.
All right, so now we know that the format is a little more wide open, I should say, than it was before. So,
Half of it opened up.
What?
Half of it opened up.
Half of it opened. Yeah, there's still this other half. So, we all know that Liu Kang's now like the big one-headed monster with a couple other guys below him, but really, I think Liu Kang is now the focus of everyone's attention in a way. Now leading with like, we still have Spike 1, we still have Jet, we still have Spike 2. You know, are there any other characters that kind of rose up with this ban that people should be looking out for, or what do you think?
I think the evil desperation characters have been there the whole time, and not getting attention because they, aside from Kevin's Vega, they mostly haven't. There was a Vega in Virginia too, but like by and large, like the Scorpions haven't shown up.
Vega would have won if I hadn't been there.
Yeah, and it was possible that it was a 3-headed monster before this, and that the right builds of the evil desperation decks could actually beat up on Quan Chi if given a chance. But you know, we never really saw that play out. So now people are just paying attention to Liu Kang, and I'm fairly certain that these evil decks can hang with Liu Kang.
Yeah. Now, I know that testing here, Katana gives Liu Kang some fits because she can pitch an attack, and then when she's in desperation, she can just Princess Parry your other attacks, and then if she's playing Fade, she could fade your attacks too. So I know Katana has given me fits. I've beaten her, but it's definitely a struggle. It's not an easy, I just play attacks and roll you over type of match.
Yeah.
I know.
And that's one of the more innocent ones, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's Katana, there's Vicious, there's Vega, and Scorpion are generally the 4.
Yeah, those are your front runners there for sure. We've had pretty good representation. I'll exactly mirror what Tim was saying with evil Despo decks. We've had good Katanas locally. We've had good Scorpions. We've had, one of the builds was Quan Chi was basically like, cool, I'm just going to run 4 copies of Scorpion and put myself in desperation and then just melt you. And yeah, so like that archetype is pretty valid, and there's a bunch of different characters that can take the wheel with that and kind of run with it.
You could even go with Kotal Khan too. He's also another one of those characters.
Yeah, he's perfectly viable. So
yeah.
I think that character is pretty good. The big question that you have to ask when you're playing that archetype, I think, is where do you want your 1-check? Do you want to play something like Coffee Samba, or do you want to play Princess Berry? And that just kind of determines.
Singular.
Yeah. or you can play a whole ton of them. That's fine.
Yeah.
But most of the successful builds that we've seen locally either run maybe like 6 1-checks at the most, and even that gets pretty sketchy.
Yeah.
But Evil jumped in power like substantially for Mortal Kombat because it was like B tier-ish going into this set, and it got so much good support that it's I don't know if it's top of the heap now, but it's within the discussion board, I think. So yeah,
its spam really got it was good. It was getting good in Bebop, but then it just like got this influx of spam that it's hard to like fit in all of it that you want.
Like I think we were talking before the show about cutting decks down to 60 cards.
Yeah.
I actually filled out a deck list before UK Nats. I'm just gonna talk about UK Nats in my Vega deck because I love that deck so much. Like I filled out a 62 card deck, and I was sitting in we went over to I filled out the hotel room. We went over to the tournament venue, and I just got I started crossing off cards because I was like, no, I need to cut this. I need to get this down, and I should be doing this. I should be doing this. And then I just went up and got a new deck list and managed to kill enough of my darlings to get it down to 60 cards.
Dang.
So I was like, I really wanted to play 3 tiers of Scarlet, but I can't play 3 tiers of Scarlet. I really want to play 4 Fallen Angels. I love Fallen Angels, but it's not just I can't play 1/15th of my deck that card. I have to play 1/20th.
Yeah, I mean we were talking about this before the show too. It was like trying to build water over the last like 2 sets, right? Like the card quality is just so high that it's tough to trim it down. And Evil's, I mean, I think it's a good thing that like that's an issue with more and more symbols, because we didn't have that for a while.
Yeah.
So other archetypes that have kind of been opened back up post ban. Let me think.
Well, like even just Liu Kang kind of got. I know Liu Kang was always there, but Liu Kang's major thing was Quan Chi's R, because his attacks aren't that great on their own. He needs to enhance all that time, and usually you got 2 enhances on against him, and you're at like a 1 damage attack, and it's like
I think the fire build is definitely a lot better than.
Okay, so moving with that, so like the hand cannon decks, and do you think like the Cassie Cages of the world, and you know, will we see like a Devora with a hand cannon and a Showoken type deck or anything like that?
Well, yeah, I don't think it's a terribly bold prediction to say that if we're like just trying to address like what are the biggest monsters in the room, I think it's like Liu Kang is definitely one of them. I think if Evil Desperation is one, and I think hand cannon is the third. Yeah, especially Life Symbol, Insect Puppeteer, hand cannon. Yeah, because just having that in play gives Liu Kang such a headache. He pretty much, I mean, if it's the water build or the death build, he can remove it, but he has to remove it as his next card, or else his abilities turned off, his multiple attacks are turned off, his fatalities can't go to momentum. It's just really rough to be him, unless he can immediately get that card out of the card pool.
Yeah, I was talking with Tim and Mark in our team's chat about, you know, we were talking like the builds, like the fire build may get more play, but it's never going to want to see hand cannon, because it honestly has no way to remove it, I believe. I think, currently, because they don't have Nero, because Nero just stuffs it into their staging area, and it's just I just go about my business.
You can get it with what's the multiple Rosso as well.
Oh yeah, Finale Rosso. Yeah, you can get it with that too. Yeah, so like,
I mean, if you really want to, which I guess you should, but
against Death or Water, Puppet Cannon usually buys you a turn. Unless like you set it up and then you get Reversal Nero'd and then you don't have that turn anymore.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to be careful about that. But like in most cases, it'll buy you a turn, and then with one more build and one more little sculpt, they'll be able to Nero it and still go on and kill you.
Yeah.
Against Fire, their deck like stops functioning. They just sort of, especially if they're big shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, like.
They just sort of have to play this really honest game. They can't even stack their deck with the 6s.
Yeah.
It just gets really bad for them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if everyone's heard the story, but in the finals of teams in UK Nats, it was Ali against Emma, Liu Kang against Jackie, and in both post-sideboard games, Emma opened with Pit, and that card stayed in play for the entire game. And what Pit does says your attacks cannot gain powerful 6. So that Jackie deck, its entire offense was completely gutted. It had to win the entirely fair way. But because of Insect Cannon, he won both of the post-board matches in that matchup against Liu Kang, just by having a huge ass and grinding it out with printed damage, basically.
That's one thing that I've learned, too, but with playing Liu Kang is he can melt if you have a really good offense. He can just melt. He only has 26 health. And you're maybe only going to have a couple, maybe 2 to 3 cards in hand after sculpting on your attack turn if you haven't killed anybody, or if you get puppeteered, you don't sculpt at all on your opponent's turn. So you have to kind of be careful against decks like that, because you can just die. Because, you know, like I died to Bubble Man windmill punching me over and over again, and that's a shit ton of damage. So we found that if you just punch Liu Kang in the face enough, he dies very fast.
True.
Yeah. If you can speed bump him at the right time, or just like find a way to just like survive the first string he goes in on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is easier said than done.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you can do that, if you can then backswing him for 30, he's going to fall over.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, he doesn't defend very well at all. The success that I've had with him locally, or had against him rather locally, has been doing exactly that. It's either like wait until he's like a little bit deeper into a chain and then hit him with a stop or a bang or something like that to disrupt him. And then just turn around and hit him for 26. Yeah. And he doesn't defend very well at all. And most of the time when he pushes really hard on an attack turn, like he's going to be committing cards to pass checks. And most Quan deck, or sorry, most that's exactly where I had it. Most Liu Kang decks, like you're not running like a crazy low foundation count, but a lot of them run Bang and run either like Punch and Judy loop, or they run
Quad
some
Yang
sort of
is a
action.
staple too.
Yeah. So they're almost guaranteed locked into at least 8 actions in their deck. So the foundation count tends to be a little bit low, and they're still a 6-hander with no real defensive tool.
Yeah.
Like they can fish blocks, and that's great. Like that's all well and good, but if they're not able to use them because you're putting enough speed or whatever on your stuff, like you just kind of fold it over.
Yeah, I think I broadly agree with the thrust of what you're saying, and I think that that's actually sort of the trade-off you get from playing the Nero Fatica builds is that like you have more non-block combos to dig into. You have worse blocks, and you kind of have a relative like lack of good defensive resources in your staging area and the rest of your deck. I think the fire build is actually pretty. I think it's significantly better, especially because of Redeemed Rogue. Redeemed Rogue stretches out his vitality by an insane amount.
Yeah, it does.
And Big Shot's pretty good on defense.
And I really think Big Shot's
arguably better than on offense.
The best use of Big Shots is on defense.
He's on defense.
Exactly. Fire plays an honest defense really well. It just doesn't have answers to disruption. So it's sort of weird. Where like I feel like the fire build has more lopsided matchups in both directions.
I think
when it's good against the deck,
that's a good way to look at it.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And when it's bad against the deck, it's really bad.
Yeah. It just kind of folds over and doesn't do anything. So.
And I also like, as you were saying, I think that attacking the King's staging area and its ability to make control checks, especially, I don't know about especially anything really, but that can be pretty effective because I mean, if he gets like a 3 build on turn 1, that's like more or less average. He can't really get a 5 build like very often at all. It's just very unlikely because of the way the decks are built. And then if he starts attacking on 2, if he plays 3 attacks, I mean, even if he's hitting some with his enhance, he's not going to be able to build very many and have very many blocks in his hand.
No.
If he's not killing you.
That is true. So
if you can stretch the game out, I mean, even if it's not about, even if he's playing very carefully and not getting backswung, like you can make progress. Like that's, I ended up playing a whole bunch of games against him, and I just had time slows all the time in my card pool, and that was, because I was playing against the fire build as long as he didn't check 6s to get through them, which he did very often. But it's the fire build. That's what the 6s are there for.
That's what it does. Yeah, that's exactly what it does. So like moving on. Okay, so we pretty much have beaten Liu Kang to a dead horse. So did you have anything you wanted to say, Rob, before we moved on?
Yeah, one thing that Dave sort of mentioned, he's talking about like waiting a little bit like longer and then playing like Bang or Stop. I think that those are 2 big things. Like, I feel like both of those cards, since they came out, like people have really been talking about how they're like super good and people should run them, and like they really haven't showed up in sort of the numbers I think that people have expected. And I think that might be changing. I mean, maybe, who knows? Maybe it'll just be another one of just like, well, I cut it. Quan got banned. I don't need this anymore. But I think people have been running those cards like a lot more just because they had to. And I think that's something that, people have started to really find the value in, just buying that extra turn. And I think even with like Quan gone, I mean, you still have Liu Kang, you still have some of these other characters, and, being able to blank them or like commit them like on defense is really important. And both of them are very easy to off symbol. So, unless we expect to see like single barrel everywhere, I mean, there's not really a reason to not, basically like when I was looking at characters, especially before Quan got banned, I pretty much pulled up a list of stuff that had like good like earth or order, and then like sort of went through and I was like, I don't even want to play these symbols, but like I just want to see who has access to stop. And like that's the thing is it's pretty easy to just put in like a couple copies, and if you don't need it, you review it, and if you do need it, you're happy to have it. So
exactly.
So I'll chime in on this a little bit. I think that the single barrel problem is like a legitimate concern. I know personally, if I'm running any of those symbols, I am putting at least 3 of that card in my sideboard just for that.
Yeah.
Because if I can go into an attack turn and say, cool, I can guarantee you not being able to block anything for the rest of the turn, I want that. I want that access to that in my, maybe not in the main deck unless I get good juice with it in my main build, but like that's something you absolutely have to consider now that you did not have to consider before. Like splashing comes with risk, and it's the first time in a while that we've had that. Mm-hmm. So it's just something to consider.
Single bear is definitely the strongest instance of this kind of Punisher for a dual symbol deck. That we've seen. And I do think that, I mean, for what it's worth, like if you can find a deck that wants to play a lot of its own character support, or that has 2 symbols that are very adjacent on several different characters, like Death and Evil is right now, I think.
Sure.
You can build your deck so that it's more resilient to hand cannon than, single barrel.
Single barrel.
Like, you saw, I mean, Quan Chi decks were playing, like, actually that was one of the reasons that Mike made some of the deck building decisions he did, was that he wanted to be able to chain more cards with Napalm Man when he was blocking.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you shouldn't splash, but you definitely have to keep that in mind.
It's a risk, and be aware, like, consider putting single barrel in your own decks, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I want to play single barrel Fae. Can we do that?
You can do whatever you want, bro.
You can play, because after last weekend and seeing that in crazy Fae deck, I think Fae is one of those characters that she's still untapped. Like, I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think, like I talked about like the pillars of the format. Like, these are, Liu Kang is one of them just because he's so powerful. Like, he's so centralizing. But there is a deep bench of characters who, not just like, we haven't seen everything they can do yet. I mean, I think that's like, we haven't seen everything Liu Kang can do, right? We haven't seen everything that hand cannon can do. But like, until if you find one of these and just try to mine the depths of what's possible with them, what synergizes well with them, whatever. There's a lot of characters on that list that are in standard that we really haven't seen hardly at tournaments.
Yeah.
And I think it's basically everyone in the last 2 sets.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, because
I think Aaron Black probably isn't, because he bites it so hard to hand cannon. A character who bites it really hard to Liu Kang might not be on that list really. But
I think part of the reason that we haven't seen that mining happen yet is because Quan Chi just invalidated so many of those characters.
Yeah.
Just by hanging out and showing up. Yeah. So I think the big question is going to be like, all right, you got 10 days to prep since we threw this ban in place.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to crack this new meta in time to come down to Atlanta and show everybody here that you can take that bull by the horns and kind of roll with it? It's going to be pretty interesting to see, I think.
Yeah. So how much time is there to figure out something new? Because I'm pretty open about this at this point. I've been working on a Cutman deck. I haven't really gotten a chance to play it much, but I've been sort of fiddling with it in Ultra, and that deck has a lot of competing interests, and there's a lot of like different things he's trying to do. And it's the sort of thing where, Quan Chi was certainly one of his problems, and now that's gone. So it's sort of like, maybe I don't need to force myself to play a Showoken deck, but maybe this guy's actually a little bit better. But can I first draft him? I don't really know. And the same goes for so many of these older characters that you just like leave in the binder when you think about Quan Chi. I mean, Felicia still exists. She can play Windmill Punch really well.
Sure can.
But can you figure out a Felicia deck in 10 days?
Yeah, I know personally, like, I've been pretty vocal about this in the Discord. I've been playing a bunch of Sniper Joe, which I don't think is like an S tier character by any stretch of the imagination, but I built him specifically to tackle like the Liu Kang and Quan Chi matchups, like with tech cards in the main deck to deal with those characters and stuff like that. And now, if I decide I want to continue playing that character for nationals, then now I got to kind of like, okay, what can I afford to gut out? All that stuff. So. It's an interesting. This is a challenge that we haven't had in UFS in a long time.
No, that's
where
true.
We've seen a drastic change in like format power, whatever you want to call it. Like literally 2 weeks before tournament. Like, I can't even remember a time in UFS's history where we've had this.
It's at least pre-Jessica. If it's ever happened.
Exactly. I don't think this has ever happened before. And I'm not complaining about it, but it's definitely a challenge that that this community as a whole just hasn't really had to tackle in a long time.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, so that's sort of, I mean, there might be some people out there that kind of had their like pet deck that they put a lot of work into, and they're just like, man, like I'm not doing that well against like these characters, and if they, don't have Quan Chi, like that's sort of it. I feel like this could really help somebody that's put in a ton of work on someone that wasn't great, and now that they have like a slightly better opportunity without having to deal with like the best character in standard, there could be somebody that is sort of ready.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. Like, so we kind of touched on Desperation Evil as a thing that you're going to have to look out for. What do we think is going to crawl out of the woodwork other than that? Now that ban's happened, right?
I feel like my sense is that might be the only kind of like big archetype that can have different permutations on different characters and really sort of it's a group of cards that really fit well together and kind of are bigger than a character. I think that like I don't know like that's like we talk about like Nutcracker decks is I think another kind of big tent you can fit a lot of things into, like the Ermac deck I played in teams, Kathy Cage decks. Pretty much any all character can play some really nice slam packages.
Yep.
Jet
can play it amazingly too. Like that's a great card for Jet off a good or Earth.
Yeah.
That's just like
Cassie Cage definitely happy to see Quan Chi go.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Oh
for
yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
If you think about it, she's one of those few characters who can play Shoken with a straight face. I think that's been said multiple times over the last few weeks since UK Nats. But like, she doesn't care. She can just slap that card down with a smile and punch you in the dick. So she does not care.
Yeah. Another archetype I think we might start seeing a little bit more of is the Deep Freeze Frosthammer.
Yeah.
Melina featured that. If it can make Melina borderline functional, it's probably pretty good.
So that leading
if
with Tim,
you put that package in a real character, I think you're probably onto something pretty good.
I actually think that maybe we'll see Sub-Zero finally, like now that Quan Chi's gone, because I don't know if he was a deterrent to Sub-Zero, but Sub-Zero needs his enhances to function. So, and that could be another thing that rises is that archetype can come up and Sub-Zero can just freeze everybody and kill everybody. So, because Frosthammer just hits for 1 billion damage after a deep freeze. Like I've put that package into Swordman. You can put it into I put Deep Freeze into Reptile. Because stun 3, discard a card, 1 million damage. That's pretty good. I think Deep Freeze is one of those underrated. Not really underrated, but it's one of them. Usually, it's one of those starter deck cards. It's not like Fallen Angels where it's like, whoa, that card's like busted, but it's definitely up there, and I think a lot of people are afraid to play it maybe because it's a 3-speed mid, and I think that may be it. I don't know.
I mean, the thing about Deep Freeze is you pretty much play it going, this is going to get blocked, and if it doesn't, okay, now what?
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah. I think it's what Toys Videos. I think that's what Toys Videos said, that you just play Deep Freeze, stun 3 them, and then it's like, okay, what are you going to do? You're going to take 7 or block it and then die to my next attack. So So
I was running for a little while. I was running Water Spike 1 with Dragon Goddess and the Deep Freeze package.
Oh, nice!
And it was crushing everything but Quan Chi. I was running Hand Cannon just as a block in a deck too, which actually worked out pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And sneaky bit, you can tack Gateway Shuffle on the Hand Cannon, and it hits people in the face for a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So,
that's like an 8-mid 11 for if you do Spikesies. It's pretty good.
It's not bad.
It's not bad at all.
So there's definitely juice there. The Sub-Zero attack lineup is really good and kind of got overshadowed by. It didn't share any symbols with like the Juggernauts, right? Like Liu Kang doesn't want to run that stuff because it doesn't have combo. Quan Chi couldn't run any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So like but it's still really good. That's a lot of stun and a lot of damage on a lot of attacks, with some of which have a lot of utility too. So, yeah, that's definitely something that I don't think we've seen on like a PTC level, or I don't know how much of that showed up at UK, but I would not be surprised at all if there were decks that were taking advantage of that.
Yeah,
at
the
US
seal, the seal on Deep Freeze and on
seal
Ice Burst
so
and even Ice Clone
Mm-hmm.
is okay. Foundations are getting better. Like Loyal Friend went from being like a kind of fringy card to a really good card, even without the block. And if you're running it with the Frosthammer package, which you probably are if you're Order and Void at this point, it's another +1 speed on your Frosthammer.
Yeah.
While taking out whatever their best unique is, whatever their sense of morals.
Oh,
seal that right up.
Yeah.
If you're not, I mean, obviously, if you're Sub-Zero, you don't care about any of these things. But
Yeah,
if you're not Sub-Zero and you're trying to run that lineup, Loyal Friend's a good one.
Yeah, this is kind of this is a little bit of a segue, but it kind of backpacks off of that. Like this is all a byproduct of Deadlock being as strong as it is too, right? Like with most symbols, you can't afford to go over 10 foundations or you just die, like very frequently. And because of that, like sealing 3 of your opponent's foundations is ridiculous now. Like it would have been really good even prior to like Deadlock being as strong as it is. But now when like that's almost half of your resources for the turn, like that's really good.
Yeah.
I know I would open people up and I would just stun to them and I'd say, cool, do you want to stun the stuff I'm going to seal anyway? Or do you want to stun some other stuff? And then I just seal the 3 cards I actually cared about, and suddenly they're really down like 4.5 resources, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, like plus you pair Fatality with that, so you get snap momentum. And, that card's just so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Deep Freeze might be my favorite attack in the set.
Yeah.
But there's some strong competition for it.
Do you have anything to add? Rob, do you have anything to add on to that before because Dave brought up a good point. I want to talk about Fatality at Nats in a way.
Okay.
So
we can go into that.
Okay. So
awesome transition. Let's go.
Some transition. So it being the highest cost card being in the set because it's so good and it's so like the utility purpose of it is so snap momentum, discard pile hate. You get to play all your enhances for no recourse.
Yeah, undestructible enhances.
Is Fatality going to determine everything at Nats? Whoever plays it the best? Do you think? I know not every deck can play it, but
let's list out who we think plays Fatality best, right? I think that's a better question. I think he's your easy front runner, right?
Yeah.
Like, you get like late chain, cool, I'm gonna play this on like a 4 and I get a free dig and so on and so forth. Like
I mean it shrugs off Breaker.
Yeah, he does not care about Breaker anymore because of that.
It's this format's Flashlightning.
Yeah.
Like it kind of serves the same purpose that Flashlightning did. And if you go back to I've made this parallel a lot. But like Liu Kang plays a lot like Iori did back in the day, right? Where you're just churning through your deck looking for gas. And one of the biggest benefits of running Flashlightning in that deck was getting to do exactly that. Where you're just like, cool, I get to basically play this thing for a minimal amount of difficulty and just go find something else that I need.
Yeah.
Right? And Fatality does the same exact thing for Liu Kang. So.
You'd made that analogy before, and it never clicked in my head that Iori gives +3 speed, and Liu Kang gives +2 speed.
+4.
Yeah. He turns to +4 a lot of the time with Yin Yang and Fireball and everything else.
Yeah.
It's the same character. It's better. He's better than Iori, which is a terrifying thing to say because he doesn't cost you anything when you're doing anything. He's just like, cool, let's get to hang out. The character's nuts. Anyway, I'm 100% in agree. I think he runs Fatality better than anybody. But all right, so let's take him out of the equation. Who else do we think kind of picks the slack up on that card?
Other decks running Windmill Punch.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Bubble Man, Felicia.
Reptile.
Reptile likes that card too. Yeah.
Sure.
I know there's the Anachorus deck plays Fatality pretty well too.
Yeah, I mean that's like a different level. I guess.
I understand that, but you still have to bring
Surveyor decks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's at least 2 of them, right?
Yeah.
There's Anachorus, and you can do it with Keith.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So with that, like, do you think people will just splash it just for the good block and the R to get rid of cards out of people's discard piles? Since there's they'll probably side
Did you
that.
say splash a 3 Infinity card?
Well, I'm saying side it, I guess. Yeah, whatever, splash it, whatever. But that comes to another topic now. Will people get judge damaged because they're not calling symbols when they play it? Do you think that's going to happen?
I don't think that's going to happen. I hope nobody's that petty.
No, I don't really think so at all.
Yeah, I know Sean is saying to do this, where just before the game starts, he says, "I'm going to take a shortcut. My fatalities always chain 3 symbols of my character."
That's probably a good thing.
That's the easiest way to do it.
That's the easiest way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's another couple little interesting things that you can get away with fatality that that's a lot of decks just can't do. Off-symboling spiders and dragons with that card is really disgusting.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, again, I'll go back to that Spike 1 deck I was playing for a little while. I was running an attack base that mostly overlapped water and had a little bit of death in it, too. But anytime I would just dunk a fatality for the spiders and dragons in front of it, it just felt like cheating.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Because you'd go, like, spiders and dragons into fatality, into deep freeze, and now I've got the momentum to pay for the seal.
Round's cracking up.
Yeah.
Staging area is just gone.
Yeah. You're down four foundations.
I'm able to do that on turn 1 with Liu Kang, and I've killed people on turn 1 because I get to do that. Because I build that free foundation, yin and yang them, and dig through my deck, and grab all my Neros, and you're dead on turn 1. So, yeah, it's insane. Yeah, look at Kevin's face. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
That is. Yeah.
It is nuts.
I remember I heard you say, like, I turned 1 killed someone. I'm like, yeah, it was probably like some stupid crap where you like made 5 checks against at 5 difficulty. Like, no, those are all safe. That's just like the nut hand with
like I've been telling people, like, if I get my nut hand against anybody at Nats, I'm going to try to kill them on turn 1, and that's all I care about. And I want to win, and if I can do it, I've done it.
I mean, that is like that's like the Yahtzee where you hit. I don't even know the rules of Yahtzee at all, but that's like you roll 6 dice, and they all come up 6, and then you win.
That is a Yahtzee. Yes. Yeah. The perfect hand. Okay. Go ahead. Continue.
I'm trying to think of other characters that just utilize it really well.
Anyone? Black Dog's Fangs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I was going to get next.
Yep.
I've been running that package in the Sniper Joe deck that I've been playing to very good effect.
Yeah.
So
we featured in the cut, man.
Just out of curiosity, so like if I play a Black Dog's Fangs and then I play Fatality,
it works.
Fatality goes to momentum basically as a static, and so then I still have the R window, right, to pick it back up.
That's awesome.
Cool.
That's cool.
Just pretty good.
Fatality's a static effect that's fast. Like it's a fired effect that's faster than the response window opening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Before you get prior to the responses.
Yeah, we've confirmed that with Shane and a couple other people. So it definitely works correctly.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah, I was playing a little bit of a Splash Woman deck. Seriously,
I'm sorry.
No, it's actually fantastic. So you're an 8 hand size, and you lose all this life, but
that made me give up on a Kotal deck.
No, like I turned 3 in with because I drew my crit split.
Fair enough.
So speaking of fatalities, like fatality protects you from your opponent's ability to disrupt your abilities. So the goal of the Splash Woman deck, it was playing like 30 cards to support this goal, is to get Resurrected Revenant in play and seal your character, so that you no longer have a restriction on how many cards you can play. And then also now you're up a card, and now you can go off from there. And so it would play Fatality, and that would give you cover to Resurrected Revenant without them being able to cancel it, and it would give you cover to bang them if you needed to, or bang anything on the board, and they couldn't revoke it.
That is the most Broberg deck I have ever heard. That's awesome, dude. I like it. But no, being able to fire off bangs with no way to cancel it is also really good. So yeah.
Now
I think it's less relevant now that Quan Chi is banned, because I think he was the character who had the most revokes in his deck. Yeah, because he got a powerful character. But
even then though, like just there's still other action hate in the format, but just being able to guarantee it, like, no matter what, I get this off, and now my attack push is going to work. And I get a momentum. Sweet. So, when that card first hit, I was like, okay, this card's really good. I don't know if it's like top of the heap, most expensive card in the set good. After playing with it for like a couple of months, it deserves to be there. Yeah. So. It definitely deserves to be there.
We just did a staging area about the cost of cards and why certain cards are so much, and it's because these cards are so versatile, and
Mhm.
they are worth the price because
Well,
they open up
think
so much.
about what we just said.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, well, I
Yeah.
can run this in like Liu Kang
Yeah.
for his combos and stuff. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I can run this in like a Black Dog's deck.
Oh, yeah, I
can
know.
run this in like
Yeah.
an Anakin. Like these characters are completely different.
Yeah.
Like doing completely different game plans, and like this card like complements all of them just by like existing.
We didn't even touch on the Takeda instant win deck either.
That's true.
Yeah,
Ah,
there's that
true.
too. There's like now there's another character that kind of suffered from Quan Chi. Yes, he's still a slave against revoke and top deck control, but do we think Takeda will make another appearance? He was in Virginia, but do we think we'll see a Takeda
I think
deck?
you'll see one in top 16.
You think so?
Yeah.
I would be surprised if no one shows up with him.
Yeah.
Because no one has showed up with him yet.
Yeah.
Except for, like, there have been multiple turns where he hasn't been registered.
Yeah.
And I'd be surprised if no one shows up with like a polished, tuned Takeda deck.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's going to see a ton of success. I'm not sure if I would predict it's going to top 16 because he's fragile.
Mm.
You know,
He gets
Takeda going
hit
second.
by a lot. Yeah, basically, like a lot of the you know what they sort of call like splash hate too, where it's like cards that people are running to like fight. Like basically Liu Kang are gonna hit Takeda as well.
Yeah.
That's pretty true.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get banged. He doesn't want to get stopped. He doesn't want to see fatality. He doesn't want to see hand cannon.
Yeah. Doesn't want to see revoke.
He might get caught. That's a really good point that I didn't even really consider. Like he does kind of get caught in the wash.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, like I could see him making a top 16 like you do. He can 5-2 a Swiss. What are your odds of winning 4 matches in a row?
Yeah.
With that many weaknesses?
That's a really good point. Like, we had a Takeda show up locally for a little while, for a couple of weeks, and I played him a few times where he would stack a 2 on top of his deck to draw it, and then I would just wait until he did that and bang him, and then his turn would end. And that feels real bad.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I think that I know the Takeda deck that I was most excited to build when the set came out was actually just a fatality control deck that would just try to. It was going to keep controlling you until it removed all attacks in your deck from the game. And like if you basically say, well, Takeda's gimmick is weak to everything, so I'm gonna play the gimmick where I just put Artifice Avarice on top of my deck if I ever want to use that ability. I'm just gonna be 8 hand size.
8 hand size. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I don't.
He's underexplored.
He's definitely He's kind of the like. If Quan Chi was the obvious toolbox, this guy is the like a little bit harder to tune toolbox character out of MK, I think.
Do you feel he's kind of like the Fae of the set? Like how Fae was like his toolbox character?
I mean, I did entertain briefly like slapping him on top of the Molina deck.
Yeah.
And like you're not playing mono combos, you're just like I'll play Kunai and Shiryukan and like Whip Assault, and maybe I'll put a flashy John Rakers in there or something.
Mm-hmm.
And if I get it, cool. Otherwise, I'm just going to stack 6s on top whenever I want it, once per turn. Because I need to pass checks to play Frosthammer 4th attack in a string.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I feel like Takeda was one of those characters, like when we just got the characters at Worlds, he was one of like the probably top 2 or 3 that was just like, dude, this guy is nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the set comes out and you have like fatality to remove stuff. You have like hand cannon to just turn them off. And
just that enumeration of weaknesses a second ago, like really turned the light on in my head of like, he actually loses everything.
Yeah. And I mean, we sort of talked about how like, oh, well, there's some like top deck control that you can play against him. Like, I know like Hillman, had like a good version that ran,
Cool and Focus.
No, it ran the Fey card that basically is like after they play an E, like, or after they play an ability on a card,
emergency rations,
and they can't play it anymore, and like that's really good for him against like
no surprises,
no surprises, fear of women, like stuff like that. That's just like repeatable, like get rid of the top guard. So like I think he does have like some counters to like some.
He's got Showoken,
but he doesn't have a whole lot.
Still doesn't have anything on stop.
That
Bebop Blues, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like if you are just like, absolutely like I am gonna run like all kinds of like hate for my hate, like, but that's the thing is like now you're pretty much like a dedicated like combo deck where a lot of your pieces are there to protect your combo, and that's the kind of thing where like in UFS, because it's I think more than other games, like you're not really guaranteed to see like the pieces that you want for like any given combo. I think
or your opponent could just loyal friend it. and anyway.
Yeah.
I just think that kind of deck building is a little difficult without like any, with less search, less like, tutoring and stuff. So, but
well, I think that the biggest strength that Takeda has that I think is completely underexplored is that if you combine his enhance with like Dauntless Hero or any other draw card enhance, like Homemade Explosives, Malicious Heart, whatever, it's just a tutor. And so, on your turn, you can do that on Fatality. On your opponent's turn, you can just tutor and then try to draw it. And so Takeda has more access to Showokens. He has more access to however many stops he's playing. He can get those consistently on defense and try to leverage that to buy more turns. But then, if I think of him like just like compared to a base rate 7 hit dice aggro deck, like usually they get +2 speed or something like that, right? Like you see Ava, you see Mad Pro, Lilith, Yamato Man. He has to rely on his combos or run whatever tricks he's doing, or just having a 6 check to make up for that, and that's apparently easier said than done to make up for that gap.
Yeah.
So we got about 20 minutes left in the episode. So, do we want to move on to predictions, or we have anything else we want to talk about the format? Is there anything we haven't touched yet on the singles format as a whole?
I want to shout out to we briefly touched on Bromley's Fey deck.
Oh yes,
it was the Caltrops Sand Grenade deck.
Yeah,
and I mean I feel like that's like an example of just like taking a character, digging deep, and saying, well, like what's this character do? It gets a big stack of momentum. How do I get paid for that? Oh yeah, we have this nice little Aaron Black package. And on top of that, we have this insane defense of Woodman's Leaf Shield and Phase abilities for minus damage or whatever, and Shaolin Fighter.
Yeah.
And now this is super hard to kill. It has stolen 1 billion.
Dude, Faye plus Shaolin Fighter is gross.
Yeah.
That's like,
really
how can I keep feeding this momentum out? Oh, right.
Wait, I'm Faye.
Add it back.
Yeah.
Add it back.
And
if you want to go even deeper, you can add future poolside date to this off symbol.
Yeah, you could.
And now it's effectively -6 damage to every attack.
Yeah. My favorite part about that deck is he's playing Sadistic Ways, and that's like one of my favorite cards out of the set. And I've been trying to find ways to fit Sadistic Ways into like any deck that can use momentum, just because you can just pocket 2 momentum, whatever, and with it. And it's just the way he used it, where he would, if he couldn't kill people with Sand Grenade, he would just go Sadistic Ways, multiple kill you, and that's just
It's still 18.
It's still it's just
still hits pretty hard.
Yeah. It's just nuts.
Statistically, if you're in desperation, you can.
Oh yeah. It's
I was thinking this is just 6. Like multiple 2, and then if you're in desperation, you also get to power up first.
Yeah.
This is multiple. If you have 4 momentum and you're in desperation, this is multiple 4. Holy shit!
And then if they're in deadlock, it's multiple 6. Yeah, it's It's crazy.
I had that featured prominently in my Iceman deck. That I keep telling Wagner that he should run.
This card looks like Iceman support.
Yeah,
I mean it's great.
Yeah.
I would have beaten a Goro if I hadn't checked like the last 2 in my deck. Which, par for the course, but
so let's talk
I
about
had
that
the
character.
multiple force.
Oh yeah, we should talk about Goro. Let's talk about Goro. Yeah, we touched at all. Yeah, let's talk about him.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
The Goro, I think, almost is like there's a bunch of good measuring sticks in this format, and Goro is a really easy one because it's can you deal 40 damage in a time frame?
Yeah.
He's a punching bag a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes he's a punching bag with a stop or a big cyclone or a Woodman's Leaf Shield in his hand. But it's about like he plays his game and he's going to stun you a little bit. He's going to resist your offense. But if your deck can put 10 damage attacks on the table with regularity, you'll be able to punch through him. And if you can't do that, you'll have a hard time. And Goro is I think there's almost kind of like 2 camps in Goro, it feels like. There's basically the punch walk camp, and then there's exactly Rio Gopal's deck, which is I've heard it like he summarizes it basically as he wants to force you to go to deadlock. He's playing 4 Shokan Prince, 4 $500 sunglasses, a bunch of toughest bricks, a bunch of other stuff. Basically,
Victor, what's the Goro has one too, right? Where if you deal 4, it flips something, and then like your next attack is -2. I can't remember what it's called.
But basically, it's basically like all the ways to stun your opponent attacks you, and you stun them in exchange on their own turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they've been stunned out, either they'll be hard blocked because they can't build into deadlock without turning on your overly dramatics and missile launchers and everything else and dying instantly, or
That's fair. That's fair.
They'll just keep playing at 10 cards and have +4 difficulty to all of their foundations.
Yeah.
And then get stunned for it as soon as they attack. And that just, it's impossible. The goal is to make it impossible to sustain an attack string against that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that deck's really cool.
Yeah.
I think if any of you watched the Khabib Conor McGregor fight, that's exactly how that fight went. But yeah. So no, I think that's pretty legit. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that crack top 16. I think that's an incredible team stack too.
Yeah.
Because there's decks that just cannot put that level of sustained offense up against that's a tough wall to climb for a lot of decks, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Goro deck in Rio's build specifically is super cool. So
yeah, because we have Tyler plays a fire Goro here with Shokan Grab that just dumps a bunch of 5s into his discard pile, and he can tutor Samba, he can tutor Armed Vengeance and all that stuff, and it sucks when he goes something then Armed Vengeance and then it comes down and they're like, oh, I need a foundation to commit. Oh, there's 2. So it fuels his check. It fuels him playing cards, and he dominated for a while, like outright with the set first release before we really got into it, and then now it's kind of leveling off a bit. But yeah, I never want to see that guy like that. That's just you need to kill him or he's going to kill you eventually, because he's just going to throw you to death.
What's interesting is that in the UK, the sense I definitely got was that Liu Kang was eating Goro alive.
Oh, really?
When we saw him in teams, we paired Thomas into him, and he won his matches very easily, honestly.
Yeah.
I think Liu Kang's damage output is just high enough that it's that.
No, I understand that.
And you Nero the Shokan Prince.
Yeah, you Nero Shokan Prince, That's the defense, or because you can't spiders it, right? You can't flip it or destroy it.
So you cannot destroy it.
Yeah.
Rio's deck plays a lot of copies of Police Connections and Sense of Morals, so that respectively you have to get through the Police Connections to spiders it, and you have to get through Sense of Morals to stun it.
Yeah.
Or to target commit it for that matter.
It's kind of interesting that we can see a character like Goro and we can see like 2 camps, like a control deck like Rio's, and then like there's aggro and they're
just going to race you.
They're just going to race you, and that's just neat that like a 4-hand sizer has that type of variance. But is that just because he was the way he was designed, or is that just because the way his symbols?
Yeah, he's the definition of a toolbox character, right?
Yeah.
Like
I'll play the best 4 cards in my design.
That's also true. Yeah.
Yep. If that guy wants to, he just says, "Cool, I'm going to pick up double Coffee Samba every turn," and you're just going to have to hold that. He's super toolboxy.
Do you think
here's my 4 mid-9 stun?
Do you think he's kind of a
stun 6?
Do you think he kind of wilts to like decks that can play Fatality in main board more than he can sideboard?
I think if you're showing up to Nationals with a Goro deck, you've played against Fatality and you know how to beat Fatality. One example is that you hit them with a sliding ankle breaker and then you Surveyor it back every turn.
Yeah.
And as long as you can protect that Surveyor, that's a win condition. That's all you need.
Yeah.
And you spend the rest of your time, you pick your best 4 cards, and there are 4 cards that keep you from dying.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're all in, if you can't win without Punch Walk, then you're gonna have a problem. But presumably, if you've been working on your Goro deck, you figured out that you need more ways to win than just Punch Walk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So any other characters, or do we think Spikes? Or do we think the Spikes are going to make a resurgence at Nats?
Yes.
I'd be surprised not to see a Spike 1 at all. Yeah. He's just too good for people to like. I think that maybe just people are like sleeping on him a little bit, or like not trying to put the effort in.
He's like,
I definitely think that. Yeah, he's kind of boring. He doesn't scream out to you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
do we think that the spike, presuming there's a spike that tops, do we think that it's death or do we think it's life or water?
I think it's water.
It's either life or water. Yeah.
I think it's one of the 2.
It's definitely not death.
No, I don't think it's death at this point. Reversaling and putting that as a big piece of your game plan is just asking to get blown up by Liu Kang. So, because it just doesn't work against him.
It doesn't.
Unless Slasher might give you some legs in that matchup, actually.
Yeah, but you're still playing Guardian Slasher on like a 10 most of the time if the Liu Kang is doing it right.
Well, if you pass that 10 with your 10-card staging area, you're fine.
Yeah, that's right. I wouldn't put a lot of trust in that, personally speaking. But I think
that's shooting for that. Probably
a little bit. Life gives you a couple of interesting things. Life obviously gives you like the hand cannon stuff.
Yep.
In water, you can run it as a block. You don't get cheated in every turn, but so you can kind of disrupt Liu Kang that way. And if you want to get cute, you can just run Surveyor in your life deck. Sure, why not? And just like Spike 1 still probably plays a better pure control game than just about anybody in the format, as far as just like, I don't want to die, and you're going to have to try really, really, really hard to kill me through all of my nonsense on defense. And if they run out of attacks when they cycle, you're in pretty good shape. So I think that character is still really good. I think he ran into the Quan Chi problem, right? Where when he went in to try to kill Quan, his enhanced didn't do, one of his enhances literally did nothing, and flip for +1 or +2 speed and -1 damage is very underwhelming.
And also, I think it's worth saying too that Vengeance of the Fallen Angel got a lot worse because there's the life in this format is much better than it used to be.
It's way better than it used to be.
Especially Quan Chi.
Even with Quan, you're like, okay, I'll make it unblockable, and he says, okay, I'll make it 5 damage.
Yeah.
And then if he has any copies of
Skull.
Skull.
Or
if he has any copies of Portal Barrier, it's like I'm gonna take like 3 or 4,
and then gain it back.
And then I'm definitely gonna gain that back like Dimitri or Devora. So whatever.
Yeah, so I think with that matchup being gone, I don't know if he jumps back up into like S tier, because I think his Liu Kang matchup is still a little bit rough. But unless you're running a dedicated life build, and I don't know how the life build kills people now.
I think that's the big thing for me for Spike 1 is that, if we look at the 3 pillars, his Louis, like, you can definitely build a Spike that can fight Liu Kang, that can bang in that matchup and hold his own. I don't know how he does against the hand cannon wall decks, and I'm not sure how he does against Evil Desperation per se. Definitely speed reduce helps in that matchup. The damage reduce helps, but like Keenan definitely Swiss Champ Worlds with Coffee Sambas, and Coffee Sambas just got better. So
yeah, for sure. The number of characters that can run Coffee Samba with a straight face just increased like drastically.
Definitely.
So it's kind of points against life that its only anti-stun is the Jackie Foundation that has the E-flip for +2 to your tech or slam.
Yeah.
Which that's an okay ability if your attacks are text or slam, but like the anti-stun part of that card is ready 1 foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember Rob had a match against Coffee Samba, I believe. It was you, Rob. Yeah, in Virginia, where he resolved 3 Coffee Sambas and he revoked all 3 of them.
Yes.
I
literally drew all 4 revokes off of his. Like, I think at one point I didn't have any left, and he Coffee Samba to make me draw 2.
You said draw 2 more, right?
And so I just said, okay, I'll blow up nunchucks and draw 2 more, because if I don't draw a revoke here, then I'm just gonna die, and hopefully I'll draw 1, and I drew 2. That was
hey, that's the way to do it.
Get good.
So Spike 2 got some help, a little bit of help from Jackie.
He's
got
unplayable.
But you don't think he's so good still. Spike 2's unplayable.
Hand cannon.
Oh, hand cannon beats him. Yeah, that's right. My bad. Sorry.
Game is over.
If he's lucky like Tim, how he avoided Zoe at those Worlds win.
You can't avoid hand cannon.
There's no diversity for hand cannon though.
Yeah, that's also true.
Has won every event.
Yeah, I know, but
2 of those were Quan Chi. But
yes, that's true. Yeah, but
it's a strong argument for that card.
Yeah, fine then. Okay. Then my Spike 2 pick in the Rochester CCG draft was very bad. So my bad on that one.
You can dump him. You
I'm still gonna hold on to him, man.
It's a deep roster of playable characters. It's only top 35 that were chosen.
Oh, I understand that.
And he takes so much commitment that I've looked for is there anything that's just sandbag into Spike, just sideboard into Spike 2 when I'm not playing decks with hand cannon. But there's just so many cards that you're kind of only playing with him. Yeah, you can try a Jackie, but you don't want to play Air Ground Smash in that deck. You end up making an awkward Jackie that sideboards into an awkward Spike 2.
Seems
just be bad at everything.
It's not like Spike 2 is any better.
And really, it's do you want to start Jackie so you could there's going to be other people playing real Jackie decks. So
oh, definitely. Yeah.
So okay, I don't know if we really touched on this. Now that Quan's gone, who runs hand cannon the best?
Jackie is definitely my first thought.
I think so.
Jackie is a very good offensive tool.
Yeah.
because it just has tech. It's got powerful 6,
Sure.
and also she's virtually innate hand size to find it, and she has a very good life deck. She's a very good life character, so she gets played Insect Puppeteer for free.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody outside of Jackie?
After Jackie,
Devora.
Devora could.
I don't know if she's like amazing, but in terms of like a life build that runs like 4 damage attacks, like, so you're just like, well, I mean, hand cannon, it's 4 damage, and I can give it a little bit of speed, and really like it's good on defense. So I think that that's something where she can include that and like not bat an eye.
Yeah, certainly any given build, if Spike One can figure out how to make a life build,
or water, yeah.
Or water, yep, you can play Dimitri. Kolokan really, I think most people have figured out, he doesn't really want to run like the mono 3 damage attack plan.
Yeah.
So
that's another character
you're of that mindset, you can
absolutely
run Puppet Cannon in that deck.
Like,
Keith Disbro, maybe an air, if someone figures out an air grant deck, maybe.
Yeah.
Godspeed.
Well, it's like
you got 4 days.
Kodal made an appearance at UK Nets, right? Dan Austin played him, and we haven't heard anything from Kodal Khan. Do we think?
I think Kodal Khan is underrated because his first enhance and his second enhance are both kind of trash compared to his response, and his response is really, really good.
Yes,
and like he has explosive power, but you don't want to build your deck around those abilities because you want to build your deck around the fact you have 30 vitality.
Yeah.
And that you have consistent, you can force damage through every turn. You draw an attack. That's all it takes to do is to just play an attack.
Yeah.
I think throw hate's kind of at a lull right now. Like I don't know if we've said the word throw yet in this cast.
We brought up Goro.
I said it in Goro, but yeah. That's pretty much it. Like, I know there's jet builds that are playing some throws, like the Earth versions, or like the Spinning Pile Driver is still a card.
There's still good throws in the
Spider
format,
Suplex
but
is still a card.
Like,
that card's amazing.
Well,
a better feature that there's going to be a throw deck. A deck that plays 17 throws. That's strategy is to throw.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the real issue with like the throw decks is that like the fast decks are so fast that like if you're just like, okay, well, what if every single attack I play does half damage? How long is it going to take me to win? And the answer is too long.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
That's definitely why we don't see those decks.
Yeah.
But I think that the throw keyword is certainly still out there. There's certainly still good throws.
Yeah. Turbo Man can absolutely run Puppet Cannon. I've got a Turbo Man that's like, it's all the 4 damage tech suite, and he drops down Prolonged Espionage for free +1/+1s. It's really cool. It's I've tested like one match against Liu Kang, and Hand Cannon got Neurophatica, and I lost. And he might be like a step too slow.
You got to side in that sisterly scolding, man.
That wouldn't have really helped. He's players like 8 attacks a turn. Like sisterly scolding as an answer to Liu Kang is a pretty big meme. Like it might let you pass one extra block that you weren't going to pass otherwise.
Yeah, you got sisterly scolding plus Templar.
And now you're not running Revoke?
Make sure to have Revoke too. And, and Cannon.
Yeah.
And somehow you have to find a way to kill him on the backswing with 12 actions in your deck that don't do damage.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's totally
okay. So we're about a little over an hour. So let's get into some predictions. Okay. I know Tim. Do you have any? Tim, I know you were talking about some props on Discord about figuring out, how many. Do we think? Okay, here we go. Here's one. Do we think Liu Kang's going to win nationals?
No.
I'm going to go with
yes. I think if there is a build that we haven't seen take a major yet that circumvents a lot of the problems that Liu Kang has, then yes, I think absolutely Liu Kang can win the entire thing.
Well, so I think with Liu Kang, I think the Death and Water builds, I don't think their worst matchup is any worse than 35%, honestly. Like, I don't think there's anything that has 90 on it. There's nothing that has 80 on it. So, like, the idea that he can't get through a top cut without running into something that's going to hate him out, I don't think is true. I think he could very capably win. It's just, you would always take it. Pretty much in any situation, you take the field. Like, I would have taken the field versus Liu Kang and Quan Chi. So, certainly I think someone else is more likely to win. But Liu Kang's odds to win are probably about as good as any Public Enemy #1 has been since the last time it happened, which was Hoytsel.
Yeah.
I thought the Public Enemy #1 was Quan Chi and UK Nats, so.
Hang on. So if
that
Quan
format
was
was
still,
great, though,
if Quan was still in the format, regardless of hate against him, I'd still put it on him to win the entire thing.
I think so too. Yeah.
But I don't. I've seen some good Liu Kangs in Atlanta, and I'm not giving out tech because that's not what I do. But
if you were giving out tech, what would you say?
What would you say? Please let us know.
I would say be ready for Liu Kang, which is kind of what we've been saying here anyway. But yeah, I do think that character, just like you were saying, Tim, like as far as a public enemy #1, regardless of hate, I think he still has a pretty damn strong chance of taking the entire thing. I wouldn't put it at like, it's a field of 16, right? So is it like a 30% chance in that field of 16? That's still really good odds. Like,
yeah, I mean, like I think it's like 20, 25, which is still like a lot higher than average, but I don't think it's any higher than 20 or 25. So I can't sit here and say, like, yeah, I think Liu Kang will win, but it's not. I don't think there's necessarily a character that's more likely to win.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Like I would have put Quan at like 50 to 60%.
Yeah.
So, and I won't put Liu Kang there, but I'll put him at higher than anybody else that I can think of offhand. So
yeah.
How many Liu Kang diversities do we think there are?
Will it hit double digits? Do you think it will hit
How many people play Liu Kang?
I think you're going to see
how many in the field.
Yeah, I think you'll see at least one Liu Kang per major play group, sometimes two.
Yeah.
So that's going to put it at least probably like 10.
Yeah.
Bare minimum. Bare minimum 10.
I could pretty easily see it getting to like 15.
Yeah. I think he may be the highest. Do you think he's going to be the most played character there?
Oh, easily.
Easily.
Sure. He steals wins better than anybody in the format. So, yeah, I think absolutely he's the highest played character there.
Yeah, I mean, there could very easily be... I mean, it's hard because, like, when you get to the diversity, almost because there's going to be so many, then you might imagine that invariably one of them is going to be, like, XO or X1 in the last round, and everyone that's X11 or X2 or something is just going to scoop it.
Yeah.
Integrity of the results.
Yeah, this is what we have to do, is the same thing that we did with Zoe a couple of years ago, where it was all of the Zoe players kind of pulled together and we're like, listen, we don't care what our records are going into like round 6 and round 7. We're going to play it out and we're going to see where this actually falls.
Yeah.
And if a similar arrangement happens this year,
this shouldn't even be an arrangement. This should just be what you do.
It should be. Yeah, in a perfect world, yes, but that's not how UFS.
I mean, the other thing too, it sort of depends on who you play too. I mean, and I think they've said like they have been pretty coy about what the diversity prize is when they posted all the prizes for like
the diversity
top
prize.
You get this, if you do this, you get this, participations, whatever. And I think I even said, I was like, hey, what's the diversity prize? And never got a response.
They did say this year that they're giving, what was it, something specific for staying in all 7 rounds?
We're getting
You're going to get a gaming accessory that is related to a new license.
Yeah.
So I will happily receive my Sofitia deck box.
There we go. There you go. That's another good prop. What do you think the special the license is going to be for that accessory? So Tim's already said Soul Calibur, so for the most part.
I see no reason to believe that it's not Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I think that would be great.
Soul Calibur makes the most sense.
Yeah.
New game's about to come out, so it'd be well timed.
Yeah.
So.
New game releases the morning of Nationals.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That would be something then. That would be something.
It'd be nice to have it set up on some machines.
I would
who's bringing some consoles?
That probably shouldn't be too difficult to arrange. I'll ask around. So
all right, cool.
Let's go.
Yeah. So you can probably get a couple of cabs set up or something.
I'd be fine with I'd be fine with like the Samurai Showdown as well.
Oh yeah.
What is it? Samurai Spirits or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah, I think even if Soul Calibur hadn't been featured in UFS in the past and the timing weren't so pointed, I think it would still be like 50-50 Soul Calibur or anything else.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, we all remember, because we were on here and many other shows being toxic about it, it took them so long to say what this next set was going to be. And they've had Street Fighter vs. Darkstalkers forever, and we've known it, right?
Yeah.
So
we've known it since what, 2016?
There's no way that this next set was planned all along to be Street Fighter vs. Darkstalkers. They wanted to get something out this fall.
Yeah.
And that they had to push back. And if you think like what would they want to get out first that badly that it would be important enough to like leave the players hanging until August or whenever it was that they finally announced the next set.
Soul Calibur makes no sense.
Yeah.
By far. Yeah. Which, hey, I'm on board for that.
Yeah.
Like,
that's fine.
One of my favorite series of fighters, so sure.
Get some weapon attacks.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll get another tier that'll be mediocre and I'll play anyway. So it'll be fine. Other predictions? So barring Liu Kang.
Yeah.
What else do we like?
Do we think what's the chances of that an evil deck? Like one of the desperation evil decks win it all?
Quite high.
Quite high?
Yeah.
I mean, because you got to figure. Because you figure like you could get probably like 2, 3, 4 different types in tops.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, there should at least be a Vega. There
a Scorpion
will presumably be a Scorpion, right? So you're starting at 2 out of 16, and adjusting for the fact that you think maybe this is the second best or third best class of decks in the format.
So does this mean that Tamarin Cardwell, Mr. Cosplayer himself, finally cracks a top cut at being?
He's made top cuts.
Oh yeah, he has. But this time he's not going to be diversified by Andrew Alexa.
He got
Andrew Alexa's playing Vega.
Yeah, I got into. I know, but saying about I know, but the Vega thing because he cosplayed as Vega at Nats last year and then he got bounced. So this is finally his time as a cosplayer.
Well, I don't know. I mean, everyone seems to think that Keenan's playing Scorpion, so if that's the case...
Come on, Dave. You want to drop them hot straps for the public?
I have no idea.
You know you want to drop that hot strap for the public so we know just to avoid that character altogether?
I'm not saying a word.
Oh, I understand. I know.
Yeah. Dave's like, I can neither confirm nor deny.
It's a confirmation. We're good.
Like Scorpion.
Yeah. I'm not saying a word. I'm going to let y'all figure that out day of.
We've definitely heard a lot about Keenan Meadows and Scorpion in the same sentence.
Yes. You know he loves his copy samba characters. So.
All right, guys. I got one that... was it on the Guile treatment before Worlds? What's going to be the weirdest character that makes it in top 16?
Sniper Joe.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah, that's just because I'm...
Vega, because he's from Street Fighter. Yeah. No one's coming.
I would be surprised if we had like a Blood Omen character top.
Any Blood Omen character?
I don't care. Any Blood Omen character. I would be surprised.
I like that one. That's a good one.
I would say, actually, I would be a non-sandbag. Like, I could see someone playing Alice, but bagging into somebody else.
Ooh, I've got a better one.
Go ahead.
Heidi.
Yeah, Heidi's like I'm looking at this list of characters. Heidi's like the only one I could even.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Heidi was like actually I feel like actually the Quan ban made her worse, if that makes sense. Because I think with the Quan thing, like a lot of people needed to be a little more like they needed to kind of like build their deck to like achieve a certain amount of offense, but I feel like they couldn't just go all in because you really probably aren't gonna like kill Quan like that fast unless you have like an insane hand.
Mm-hmm.
She forced people to slow down to scale up to beat him, basically, is what you're saying.
And the thing is like Heidi, just because, and Heidi would have a good matchup against Quan, and, I mean, as long as you don't die on, turn 2 or 3, she has an okay matchup against, Liu Kang, because she doesn't attack. He can't sculpt on her turn.
Yeah.
I think that she would, I sort of joked. I was like, well, I mean, playing Heidi is basically just saying, I don't really want to, play this game. And, because it's you're not playing attacks, you're not playing enhances, you're not, you're basically just I want to win, but I don't actually want to play. And against people like Quan Chi and Liu Kang, it's against Quan Chi and Liu Kang, that was one of the better routes to take. It's just be well, you punish me for playing UFS, so how about I just don't play UFS?
Yeah, true.
I could definitely see a Stone Man topping.
Yeah, I could.
I can see that.
He certainly doesn't like Bang any more than a lot of other characters do, but boy, does Liu Kang not want to see him.
No, never. Never.
Yeah, that's a lot of life for that kind of shooter.
Yeah. Do over/under on 5-handers topping? And under, sorry. 5-handers and under, because we have to include Goro in that.
Yeah, Goro.
Yeah. You've got Goro and Jackie, right? So those are the easy two.
Yeah.
Any others?
I think it's just those two.
I'd bet against it. Like I said, I could see Stone Man doing it. I don't, but it's possible he won't even show up. Like,
Yeah.
Like I've seen some Johnnies that like there were several Johnnies registered in UK Nats.
Yeah.
And they had decent performances. Dr. Cossack can definitely do some crazy shit. He might be the best Let's Party character left. Let's Party Cossack is insane. But yeah, I don't know.
You're never gonna check on one.
Yeah, that's also
Exactly.
true. Over under on attendance. Set the line at 80.
Over.
I'm also not writing any of
I think
these
so.
down, so if someone's writing this stuff down,
Yeah, me either.
I'm not writing this stuff down.
We'll have to ask our viewers to let us know how we did.
Well, I can always just rewatch the episode, so it's not that big.
What, 80?
Well, you'll become our viewers? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just use these as a discussion piece and not attempt to track them. Yeah, that's certainly over. I mean,
Because
I don't see why it's not like that many Vegas locals showed up to Worlds.
That's also
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
You know,
I mean, and like the thing is I feel like, especially with the band, there might be some people that are on the fence that are in like driving distance that are like, yeah, I'll go now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then also we'll get the people from like it seems like Florida is kind of getting a lot of new groups springing up, so maybe they'll show up now that Quan's gone. So
yeah,
that's
I wouldn't be surprised to see most of that Tampa group come up for Nats. I will say that the Atlanta play group, there's probably 4 or 5 of the regulars that you guys would expect to see that just won't be there for a couple of different reasons. So the actual Atlanta presence might be a little bit different this year. But we're still showing up. Just not in the same numbers that we have in the past, I don't think. So happens.
Street Fighter character topping not named Vega.
No, I don't think we see
I
that.
don't think so.
I think we'll see Vega for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, that's I think he's one of the top 16 already. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be pretty surprised to see anybody other than him top.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like
I mean,
the possibility
Blanca
to, like-
always seems to sneak
Yeah.
in.
Blanca, Honda,
You could see a Fei Long sandbagging.
or Dalsim, sorry.
Oh yeah,
Fei
Dawson.
Long can absolutely sandbag Liu Kang.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think Dylan's playing his jury anymore. So maybe
If
not.
Hand Cannon didn't exist, Guile would be very, very competitive.
Yeah.
He has a lot of really cool tools that all lose to Hand Cannon.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, odds
No,
are
there's so much awesome shit. Like,
odds are a hand cannon deck. Does a hand cannon deck win Worlds? I mean, wins Nats. I'm sorry.
I think one cracks top 4 for sure. I don't know how far it goes past that.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. Like the evil Despo decks don't give a shit about
Yeah.
hand cannon.
Yeah, that's
They just
also
play
true.
right through it.
Yeah.
So
A lot of the stuff people are sort of playing to defend themselves from other decks. The evil desperation decks just don't care.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That's one of the things. Like they require, and that's sort of the story of this format. And it's a little bit better minus Quan Chi now, but pretty much every like major class of deck wants different answers.
Yeah.
Liu Kang wants different answers than Cassie rather, probably also Jackie. That wants different answers than the evil desperation decks that want different answers than Goro, and somebody's going to play Jet. You know,
Yeah.
he exists.
still stuns really hard.
Yes, he does. He still breakers very hard unless you have fatality in your hand. Then it doesn't matter. But yeah.
I wonder if we'll see a Yellow Devil at Nats.
Maybe.
He definitely likes Nutcracker.
Yeah,
Quite
that's
a
true.
lot.
Yeah. Does a Nakaris top 16? Xanacaris top 16.
I mean, I'm going to go with there will be a Street Fighter character in top 16. That's not Vega.
Really?
Some
Oh,
of it-
ooh.
I think the field of like obvious includes in the top 16 isn't that deep. It's like when you count it out, there's like 9 or 10 characters that are like, yeah, this will definitely be there.
Yeah.
I think one of those other 6 will be a random, like somebody playing Blanca or even the Guile deck they've worked on a lot, and they just like lose to the hand cannon decks in Swiss, but that's still 5 and 2.
Yeah.
You know,
or Liu Kang or diversity runs so deep like 33rd place gets in or something like that.
yeah.
So,
Or
We've
there's
seen it
some
happen
actual like
before,
sandbag. You know,
Yeah.
Fei Long
But-
can sandbag fire Liu Kang.
Yeah.
Mad Perot can do it.
yeah.
Yeah. Did we predict how many diversities there will be yet?
I don't think so.
I'm gonna say it's in the high teens.
I don't think it's
No
that high.
way.
I'm going
That's
high
so
on this
many.
one. I know
I
it
think
is.
it's probably more like 6 or 7.
Think so?
Mhm.
I was gonna say my first thought was 5, then I thought maybe 6.
I'll go 10.
Yeah, it kind of like depends on whether the Liu Kangs make a don't scoop pact or not. Is
Yeah,
part of it.
That's true.
How many
yeah.
like non-Liu Kang diversities? I think there'll probably be
It's like
3 or 4.
there'll probably be like
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'd go that high, but I mean Yeah.
I go.
Presumably
yeah,
a Vega,
definitely.
presumably a
Like, yeah, you can
Scorpion.
see a couple
Whoever loses the
Scorpions,
Teen and
couple
Tamron
Vegas,
battle.
like, couple, I mean, I could even see, like, there being other Jackie's. I presume that Jeremy's going to play it, so, you know, if someone else does really well, like, one of those two isn't going to make it. So.
Yeah, like, I would not at all be, I'm just going to scroll through Mortal Kombat and Bebop characters. I would not at all be surprised to see Cassie Cage diversity, Goro diversity, Jackie diversity, Kotal Khan diversity, Liu Kang diversity, Reptile diversity is possible, Scorpion diversity, Stay diversity, Jet diversity, Spike diversity, Vicious diversity.
Yeah.
All those could happen.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Well, that's another character too we could add into that evil desperation thing is Vicious, because he got
and you can still just play Earthflows with him too.
Yes, you can.
He also likes his nutcracker.
Yes, he does. He likes punching people in the dick just as much as everybody else. He does. Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a couple flavors of Vicious even.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Vicious is one of those characters that I think he's like a fine wine. He gets better with age. Because he's just
the thing is like
he's very open ended.
Yes.
Yeah, he like his abilities don't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter what your attacks are. It doesn't really matter what symbol you are. It's just like flipping stuff and damage and card draw. Like, those are good.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
And he's still his best character, only attack in the game. So that goes a long way.
Oh, that card's nuts. That card with sadistic ways is fantastic. I love that. It's one of my favorite things to do.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So any other predictions before we end the episode, and then take a quick break and go right on to teams?
I already said Yellow Devil. Never mind.
Yeah, got your bold prediction?
Is Mega Man 2 going to show up?
Is Jeremy playing him?
I think he's playing Jackie.
Probably not.
Probably not. No.
Yeah,
no.
I mean, he's actually okay. Like somebody like mentioned him on like their Reddit posts of like throwing out a top 8 prediction. They put Mega Man 2 in there and some other stuff that I didn't feel so great about. I looked at Mega Man 2, I'm like, yeah, if someone really wanted to work on it, they could probably come up with something that's all right.
He can hit you.
Order's pretty good.
Order's pretty good. Yeah.
Movie Star gives him 2 more damage on top of his damage bump.
And he sure can run, the Frost Hammer.
Yes, he can.
I mean, his Shirai Ryukons get +4 damage and stun too. Like,
yeah. It's pretty cool. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
so.
I just with him, I just worry about like in a field where you're expecting to see a shitload of fatality, like his breaker defense just doesn't mean as much as it did before. So I don't know. I don't think he's awful, but if he's not in top 16, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I don't expect him in top 16.
No. Like, I scrolled down to the B tier on the tier list results on Reddit, and he's in there.
Okay.
I think that's about right.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Okay. All right, so we'll close this episode, and then watch out for the next episode where we're going to go through teams and talk about side events. So we'll see you guys later. Thanks. Have a nice night.